Arman Tsarukyan earned his title shot with an extremely close-fought decision victory against Charles Oliveira. As a major Charles Oliveira fan, I will not comment on the decision, but it's not my job to make that decision. I'm just here to assess what Tsarukyan did extremely well in this fight, which is responsible striking, submission defense, and effective ground and pound. So let's break down responsible striking first. Against Charles Oliveira, a lot of his opponents get really quite aggressive in the striking because they know he can be hurt and he is a bit defensively open. Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje. Poirier is probably the best example. And it tends to get people to gas out and be open to counters. And even Makachev, he was swinging for the fences against Oliveira in the first round in those opening exchanges. But Tsarukyan was patient. He kept the striking exchanges to a minimum. He engaged. He started a striking exchange when he wanted to and didn't let Oliveira pressure him back. So here we see Arman land a good right straight and then a good left straight. Oliveira, the high guard, you can kind of slip things through the middle. It's just a downside of high guards in MMA. Right? Then he throws a left hook that gets Oliveira's guard to sort of go around the side more. His guard's pretty static. It'll sort of just... It's not a boxer's guard. He won't change it as it needs to be, but brings his guard around the side, then lands a right straight down the middle. Then, as Oliveira's backing up as he's uncomfortable with the striking exchanges, Tsarukyan throws an axe kick. The axe kick is really good because to not get hit by it, you either need to move your head, and not a lot of people's thought is to move your head on the axe kick because it's scary, or to clear the scene completely. And Oliveira isn't exactly the fastest on his feet. He'll kind of backpedal very slowly. You see he did that against Michael Chandler in that first fight, but Tsarukyan lands a good axe kick. Then Tsarukyan in the third round, jab, right hook around the guard, and then left body kick. Though that right hook brings the guard up, opens up the left body kick. Arman's very good with the body kick, attacking the open side wherever that may be. And this is essentially the bulk of the striking exchanges. There was not a lot of danger on the feet for Arman, at least. There wasn't a lot going on. It was very, contained and controlled. Now, let's look at arguably the most important thing when fighting Charles Oliveira: submission defense. Let's look at the guillotine in the first round. So, Arman throws a switch kick, Oliveira kicks out his legs, and instinctually, Arman goes to grab a leg. Oliveira starts getting the headlock, and he flats himself out. Arman sits his weight low. He doesn't try to get up. He sits very, very low, and he doesn't even try to work through position. He's just using his left hand to stop Oliveira from circling around to, I'm assuming, his back. Alright? And then Arman flans himself out, smothering the submission and fighting the hands, and not panicking and not rushing. And that flanning himself out essentially neutralizes the submission. It's like you go on like a dead fish. But Arman does try to get up, and Oliveira pulls guard. Arman, then sacrificing his dignity on live television, having his butt exposed, starts pushing on the leg, immediately going to where the control is, occasionally fighting the hand, as Oliveira's grip on the guillotine actually isn't perfect. He's essentially grabbing his wrist. You can see his wrist's poking through. Arman goes to grab that to peel away. Then he goes back to pushing on the legs, and eventually Arman clears the hips, and he's safe now. Once you've cleared the hips, you're good. And Oliveira transitions to mount, right? Tsarukyan keeps his arms on the inside, controlling the wrists, not pushing them up like Ferguson or Chandler, keeping them low to prevent Oliveira from going for an armbar per se. Now, when Oliveira's getting lower, Tsarukyan turns the overhook to a collar tie from the bottom, and that's when he bucks his hips, using the collar tie to turn Oliveira over and ending up in guard and just, again, keeping low and keeping tight to make sure that Oliveira can't really get enough space for a submission, or that he has, too little space, per se. As Oliveira is pressuring forward, again, he keeps a high stance and a high guard, so Arman just ducks under, goes for the single. Oliveira tries to get, a wrap around the body. Oliveira tries to roll Arman, right? So Arman predicts this, shifts his weight, and is able to plant in a half-decent position and then use his feet to push off the cage and keep that body lock. And they get back up. Arman keeps working the body lock. He puts one of his legs on the inside and is able to trip Oliveira out again. And Oliveira naturally just goes to his back. And Arman, again, in the guard, just keeping close together, just keeping his weight on Oliveira's chest, just making sure that he can't go for a submission. Arman pumps out a jab, and as Oliveira lifts his guard and tries to counter, Arman shoots under. Gets the double leg and takes an angle when he lands the double leg. And he's putting heavy side control pressure on Oliveira, using his shoulder and using his legs to wrap up Oliveira's arm and almost get a crucifix. He's almost like locking his ankles up to prevent Oliveira from moving. Oliveira eventually goes to buck and almost gives up his back. Arman takes the back, but he rushes. He tries to get hooked in too aggressively. Oliveira is able to reverse the position and get a Darce choke, I believe. Now, Arman again stays calm and flattens himself out. And he rides out the submission to the final bell. Now, a lot of people debate the decision because Oliveira had the bigger moments, which is true. He did have the bigger moments, but Oliveira wasn't as close to finishing the fight as some may think. The reason why it kind of seemed like Arman wasn't doing much or won by not doing a lot is because Arman did really good at just neutralizing Oliveira's game. What he did do, it made Oliveira do less things, right? He just completely shut down what Oliveira's good. Oliveira really didn't have any moments in the striking, and in the first round, he had good moments. He did have some good moments in the grappling, but Arman was just quick to defend, and he just neutralized whatever Oliveira did, which is just extremely impressive. Now for how Tsarukyan did most of his damage in the fight. Effective ground and pound. While minimal, only landing, maybe 10 ground and pound shots throughout the fight, they were extremely effective, and it's the main reason, at least damage dealing wise, why he won the fight. So, in the first round, when he got on top of Oliveira, Oliveira was trying to control the wrist and he's trying to push Arman's wrist back, assuming to try and set up a triangle or something of the sort. Arman just rolls his wrist over and lands a nice elbow. Tito Ortiz used to do this a lot, where he'd just get in full guard and he'd just roll elbows over, and Arman does this, 3 times in the first round, just landing good damaging shots. Then, in the second round, Arman starts battering Oliveira with elbows, as Oliveira is again trying to control the wrists. Oliveira even tries to pull Arman's right arm away, and because his arm's away from his face, again, Arman just slams in more elbows, and he is really aggressive with these elbows. Like, when he can go, he goes, which is just really impressive to see. Right? And eventually Oliveira starts losing focus as these elbows have started to cut him open, and again, damage dealing wise, it made a big difference. And once Arman sees that Oliveira's losing focus, he just starts battering him with elbows, having a really good sequence towards the end of the second round where he did a lot of damage. And that's how Arman Tsarukyan beat Charles Oliveira. A close fight for sure. While Oliveira showed to have better finishing technique, Tsarukyan showed to have better technique in general and better fight IQ. And he just completely neutralized Oliveira's game, which is extremely impressive to do. And regardless, he is likely Makhachev's toughest matchup, at least at 155, and I'm extremely looking forward to that fight this weekend. I do think Makhachev wins. I just think he is. They're both very well rounded. I just think Makhachev's just a little step ahead in each area, particularly the jiu-jitsu and the striking. I think wrestling, they're fairly even. And I feel like Makhachev will pull off a decision victory, but regardless, very exciting. So, anyway, guys, that was the breakdown. Hope you guys enjoyed, and see you.